One more thing after thing after thing. Nico Harrison held a secret press conference to discuss the Luka Doncic trade again with Rick Welts, the CEO of the Mavericks. Why does he continue to double down on this trade and this deal and completely misread this whole situation once again? Today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
It's me versus the machine.
Nice penetrating thrust to the middle.
People forget about fun.
Hot man, the hot player.
Wait. One more thing.
Welcome. You're still locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Locked on your team every day. Today's episode, we'll get into the Nico Harrison secret press conference. It was an invite. We'll talk about what happened. We'll talk about what was said and all things like that. And let's just get into it because this is what happened. So with less than 24 hours notice, the Mavericks reached out to a select few group of media members. There's about 15, and about 3 or 4 of those were Mavericks employees themselves. Think of Mavs.com and Mark Volo, Chuck Cooperstein, got people like that. All of them journalists. We were not invited. Locked On Mavs was not invited. Me, Isaac, slightly. Imagine, slightly. And so they invited these people and said that there's no cameras and that there was no recording allowed of any type. They're not going to take and put this on YouTube. They're not going to go and it's not going to be presented anywhere. There's not going to be social clips of it. Imagine all the press conferences you've ever seen of anything in your life. There's all kinds of things like this. So what was this? What was the point of whatever this was? Well, it was still a press conference. There was a brief statement and then he took some questions. And I think in looking over some of the questions that have been shared and the questions that have been put out there, and we'll have Michelle Montaigne of WFA8 come on the show a little bit later. So subscribe, listen wherever you're listening to this. She'll come on and talk about what it was like in the room and all that kind of stuff. We'll do all that on a later episode. But right now, let's just go over some of the things that were said, because from everything that he said in this presser, and the Mavericks still have not, they said they were going to send out a transcript of this, and they still have not sent it out as I'm recording this. And I was like, F it, let's just do it. Nico Harrison was asked, if you had to do the trade over again, would you do it the same way? The same way. That not, would you do it over again? Would you do it the same way? He said, yeah, there's no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. And that's my job. I have to stand by it. The trade itself, trading Luka Doncic, maybe deep down in your hearts, a lot of you maybe thought or feared or wondered or worried if the Mavericks were going to have to do that at some point, or we're going to lose Luka at some point, right? It's every sports fan should have that fear of their star player. Maybe like the Chiefs with Mahomes, maybe, I guess if you're a golf fan, you don't have to worry about that, but I guess they could go and play for Live now instead. Like you could do that. But you have that fear of worrying if your star player, the player you've come to know and love, would leave your team. Kevin Durant left the Thunder. LeBron left the Cavs twice. Like you have that fear of that. And eventually it's not going to work out. Eventually the two sides aren't going to see how it is. And then the star will leave. Lately in the NBA, it's been because the star decides that it's not in his best interest to stay with this franchise's organization. LeBron thought he couldn't win in Cleveland. Then he came back and did win in Cleveland, and he decided he wanted a different challenge and wanted to raise his family in LA and whatever else he wanted to do in LA. KD thought that he couldn't win in Golden State with the Thunder, so he decided to leave for Golden State. Then he left Golden State because he thought, all right, well, I've won here, but not at the level that I wanted to on my terms. So now I'm going to go win on my terms. The Mavericks decided to move their star, decided to move that guy. And Nico Harrison said, I have to look out for what's in the best interest of the Mavericks. And he's doubled down in everything that he said, doubled down on all the reasons we've already heard. There was nothing new in this. There was nothing new in this presser from Nico Harrison. There was nothing new that shouted out, man, okay, that added some clarity. There's a little bit more there. I kind of understand Nico's reasoning a little bit more. There was nothing there for me that I've seen that says, all right, I kind of understand his reasoning a little bit more. And read the comment section of every single Locked On Mavs that's ever happened. We get both sides of it where you go, man, how could you think that? Oh, I completely agree with you. Both sides, either way. I try to at least put myself in the position of a Nico Harrison, of a Patrick Dumont, and say, all right, what if I do think that Luka Doncic is going to break down? What if I do think that eventually The injuries will catch up with him. This will be a bad investment, giving him $350 million, the keys to the franchise and all that. He's not going to get better complaining to the refs. He's not going to get better with his conditioning and all that. You sit back and you go, okay, well then maybe this could happen at some point. But to have no regrets on the way the trade was made, on what you got back, on how it was presented, the communication of it and all that, doing it in secret in the dead of night, randomly, at the beginning of February. Like all of that stuff, to have no regrets on it is absolutely wild to me. Just a complete misreading of everything that has happened and transpired since this trade happened. It's one thing to do the trade, right? We've gone over this so many times, and I thought we were done with it, and yet here we go again. The day before the Mavs play this, maybe their last game of the season, this play-in game, and we got to go back through it again because he makes more comments on it. Nico continued on to that question. If you had to do the trade over, would you do the same thing again? Blah, blah, blah. I have to stand by it. That's my job. I have to stand by it. One last thing. Every trade I've done has been met with high scrutiny. So eventually I'll earn the trust of this community that some of these trades are going to work out, and they have at a high level. No. So eventually I'll earn the trust of this community? No. If you listen to the show post the Luka game, he's lost the trust of the community. There's no way there's no way it'll get earned again. Even if they win a title, I think that for some people it'll be seen as a title that there's a billboard outside of Dallas, right off of 75. I was talking about this with a friend the other night. There's a billboard that says, we wanted Luka's title. Not we wanted a title, a mercenary title. They bring guys in, and okay, Anthony Davis comes in his first year, second year. He's not like one of us if you're a Mavericks fan, right? Like, I don't think you think that about Anthony Davis yet. And maybe you'll come to think that. We sure think that about PJ Washington and about Kyrie Irving, and they came in, all right, this now become our guy. But they wanted Luka's title. Mavs fans wanted Luka's title. And you took away that ability for them to have that. That's something that's even more special than just getting a title. And for Nico to go, I have to do what's in the best interest for the Mavericks. Well, the best interest of the Mavericks is Mavericks fans. Nico was asked later in this presser, Tim Cato mentioned this on DLLS, that he was asked if Nico said he felt like he had an obligation to the fans. And obviously he said no. He said, no, I have an obligation to the Dallas Mavericks in the best interest of them. Isn't the best interest of the Mavericks keeping their fan base around? Keeping their fan base not pacified and happy. You don't have to cater everything you do. You don't have to do fan service and do like what Star Wars has done to a lot of recent projects and just like, all right, do fan service and let's just do this cameo and do this thing and pull them, like let's rehash this part and let's go back to Tatooine. And like you don't have to do that, but you do owe something to the fans to understand how it feels to be them, to feel where they are in their position. And you don't base everything you do off of that. But the fact that you did this in secret in the first place to try and avoid the backlash at the beginning and to avoid the Luka coming out and making his own moves on this was out of fear. Fear of what? Fear of what has happened, right? So to have no regrets on this, I think is just absolutely wild. That's the one I just don't understand. Coming up, he was asked, the majority of your fan base wants you to be fired. How do you respond to that? And his response is where I think he misreads this again. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Locked On Mavs. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Amazon. Amazon Fire Stick TV. Go check out an Amazon Fire Stick TV. I've enjoyed it. I've used it for a bunch of different things. You can obviously stream stuff on it. And right now you can also use it as an Xbox. Your Fire TV can be used as an Xbox. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick TV 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Ultimate Pass. With EA Play included, and you're ready to play, dive into hundreds of premium titles, EA Sports, College Football, Call of Duty, all that kind of stuff. You can do it right on your Fire Stick 4K device, which is awesome. 4K streaming, you can watch over 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services, Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, Max, all that other kind of stuff. It's also better as like a affordable portable gaming. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, a Fire Stick TV device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take yours or your kids' games wherever they plug in. So check it out. Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on selected devices, including Fire Stick TV 4K. Second generation Fire Stick 4K Max first and second generation Fire TV Cube third generation. Get one. Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. Also brought to you by Skims. Skims, like the underwear that you're in. I'm wearing them right now. I'm telling you. When I found out that Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I heard so much about their quality from friends and family I had heard about, obviously their women's underwear. You see the Kim Kardashian commercials, and you see there's a bunch of them around Dallas. If you've seen the billboards of Skims ads, and you're like, man, I feel like I'm missing out. Those look comfortable. Now they make them for men too. I'm wearing them. They sent me a free pair, and I went and bought some myself. I tried them. They move with me, never lose their shape. They stay in place whether I'm working out or just running errands. The most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. I can read that copy that they sent and be very truthful about it because it is very true. I went and bought some more because I like them. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores out the brick and mortar stores. Let them know that we sent you after you place your order on skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Select podcast in the survey. Select our show, Locked On Mavs, in the drop-down menu that follows. Skims.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we're talking about the Nico Harrison secret press conference that happened. A lot of things to get into. And again, we'll do a show later today talking all about it. I did a crossover with Matt George of Locked On Kings. Anybody interested in that one right now? Nico Harrison was asked, the majority of your fan base wants you to be fired. How do you respond to that? He responded, quote, the beauty of Dallas is it's a passionate fan base. For us to reach our goals, we need that fan base. Every trade I've made since I've been here has been regarded as a good trade. Sometimes it takes time. When I traded for Kyrie, it was met with a lot of skepticism, and it was graded as a terrible trade, and you didn't see it the right way. And you didn't see it right away, but eventually everyone agreed it was a great trade. I think a lot of times trades take a little bit of time, but our philosophy going forward is defense wins championships, and we're built on defense, and this trade cements us for that. Nico Harrison said defense wins championships about a dozen times from what I've heard throughout this whole thing. Again, doubling down on the reasons that he put about this trade earlier. Doubling down on what he said before. None of this is new, right? This is all just rehashed. And it wasn't even to all of the Dallas media. And like, would I like to be invited? Yes. Oh, Nick's he's just jealous, blah, blah, blah. Maybe a little bit. But like, to have this in secret, to not be out there for Mavericks fans, again, go back to the statement, do you feel an obligation to Mavericks fans? Obviously, no. He said no, and obviously he thinks no because he did this not on video, not in front of everybody, not for cameras, he did it just in front of these journalists. Like, all right, just go and report back to what I say, journalists. And that's what they do. The McMahons, the Catos, they report back to what they say. All right. The Athletic, Christian Clark was there too. He's like, all right, just report back what it says, and then they add their own information and stuff to it. Great. To not even have like they didn't even ask like any of the opinion makers to go. And those guys have their own opinions, obviously. They're all friends of the show. They've all been on the show and all that. But to specifically just target like the journalist people to bring in is also just telling to me that it's just not, he doesn't feel an obligation to the fans at all because there's this complete misreading of this whole thing and what this all is about. You've lost the plot of what it means to be an NBA team and to be the general manager of an NBA team. You have to take care of the fan base that you have. It's a business. And to then go back to, well, all the trades that I've made have been met with skepticism. There's a level of obviously like ego there that thinks I can't say the phrase that I would like to say, but thinks your stuff doesn't smell. All right, hey, I did the Kyrie trade and you didn't like it. I agree. I was one of those that was skeptical of the Kyrie move. I was skeptical because he had not worked out in several places before. There was a bunch of reasons for it and all that. I was skeptical of the Kyrie move. Not on the court, but I was skeptical about the move off the court that it would work out. I was not skeptical about PJ Washington and Gafford. Thought those moves were good right away. Those proved right away to be good. I was obviously skeptical of the Porzingis move. In a way, that one ended up working out. And so he's right about that. That we have been skeptical about some of these moves. The Kyrie move from ESPN got like that D rating that Kyrie held up that one time. That was great. That was cathartic. That was awesome for Mavericks fans to see. But but now this Luka trade is this idea that he just said taken to like the nth degree. We're now, all right, well, now I'm going to be right about this too, because I was right about those things too. And for Nico to be right about this is actually really sad for everybody, I think, involved. Luka has to break down. Luka has to not be a all-NBA player, an MVP level player anymore because of the injuries, because of the conditioning and all that. And there may be a part of Luka, hopefully, that I do hope this for Luka, that he sees what LeBron does. He takes after LeBron, learns how to get his conditioning right, learns how to get his body right, and then he just goes and dominates. And there will be a part of Nico Harrison that goes, he needed that wake-up call. He needed that wake-up call to go and get it. And some people have brought back, is there a part of Luka? Does Luka deserve some blame in all this, in this trade? And it's hard for me to blame kind of like the victim in all this in a way, because you saw him at that game when the Lakers played in the American Airlines Center and Luka returned. You saw him and how he felt. He got traded and he got sent away. But was it his actions that got him sent away because he wasn't in his best conditioning and all that? And so now you're not just betting now for Nico Harrison, you're not just betting on a player like Kyrie. You're actually betting against your own player in Luka and sending him away. Couple other comments he said, do you feel like you maximized the return for Luka looking back? He said, quote, we targeted AD with our philosophy of defense wins championships. Take a drink. We wanted a two-way player to lead our team. Everybody's going to have critics, but we got what we wanted. This is a thing to me that I think misses the point of how to build an NBA team. And Nico, do what you want. You built the finals team, so maybe you know way better than I do. But we wanted a two-way player to lead our team. That's a great sentiment. Obviously, awesome. Jason Tatum leading the Celtics. Great, awesome. LeBron James leading a bunch of teams. Awesome, great. Amazing. It's great to have a two-way player. Tim Duncan, forever, led two-way team, a two-way player led teams. Kobe Bryant, your guy, Nico, awesome. Leading a team. You don't always get to choose the star that you get. And actually, you hardly ever get to choose the star that you get. Because sometimes, if you're my team, the Dallas Wings, you get the number one pick in the draft, and it's a Paige Beckers. And you're like, let's go. This is the perfect player. Offense, defense, leading a team, unselfish team player. She's going to be amazing for this team. Sometimes you're the Dallas Wings. You get the number one pick, and it's Charlie Collier. Do you remember that name? If you're not a WNBA fan, you may not. And even if you are a WNBA fan, she was the number one pick out of Texas in 2021, I believe. She came out. She was she was supposed to be a center that was supposed to be able to score and defend and do a bunch of stuff, and she just didn't really work out in the WNBA. And so sometimes you don't get, like a lot of times in the NBA, you don't get to pick your star. The Sixers tanked forever. They did the process. They get Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Nerlens Noel. They try all these different guys. Markelle Fultz. They didn't get to choose who their stars are. They just happened to tank in the years where those guys were coming out. Sometimes you can be the Spurs and you can like, all right, we're going to tank and it's going to work out perfectly for us. We're going to get Victor Wembanyama. It's going to be awesome. The Mavericks tanked and got Luka Doncic. They tried to choose their star. They traded up for the pick and they did all they can. You can try and make your own luck in that sense. But as an NBA team, you don't always get to choose who your star is. And you coming in as the GM that inherited Luka Doncic in your star, you have your star now. You don't get to go pick and choose and trade for your star. Because to pick a player that, for him to say, we wanted a two-way player to lead our team, you now that player has to be able to lead a team. And you don't get to choose your MVP level player. AD is not an MVP level player. He's not. He's a great player, awesome player. Him and Kyrie are going to be a great duo. I'm excited about this team next year. Excited to see what's gonna happen when Kyrie comes back and all that. He's a top 10 player and all that. You don't get to choose a top 5 player like that. You sometimes get the one that you're handed. And for him to have the response, do you feel like you maximized the return? Well, we targeted AD. Okay, well that didn't. It's not going to work the same way. We got what we wanted. That's not a good enough answer. And that's kind of what it feels like with all this stuff. It's not a good enough answer. It didn't give us more clarity, and I don't really understand why it happened. We'll have a bunch more stuff. We'll continue to do another episode. We'll have Michelle on from WFA to talk about what was happening in the room, other quotes and things like that. Guys, thanks for subscribing to Locked On Mavs, listening to the show. We've got all kinds of other things. LockedOnDaily.com for the newsletter. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.